Hi there. This is the part 2 of structure and life cycle of Polystomella. In the first part, we have discussed about the introduction of the Polystomella, habitat, and then the type study, that is dimorphism, shell, cytoplasm, locomotion, nutrition, and we have started the reproduction part. So let us proceed with the same topic. So as we have discussed that Elphidium exhibits dimorphism, which means an individual or the Elphidium exists in two different forms. One is the megalospheric form, the other one is microspheric form. Megalospheric form undergoes sexual reproduction and forms the microspheric form, whereas microspheric form undergoes asexual reproduction in order to produce the megalospheric form. So let us start with the first thing, that is the asexual reproduction. So in asexual reproduction is also called as schizogony. So in this process, the microspheric form reproduces asexually by fission in order to form the megalospheric form. So here the microspheric form is called as schizont. So the microspheric form reproduces asexually by fission to produce a number of amoebulae. Nuclei creeps out of the shell and a small amount of cytoplasm collects around each nucleus. As a result, a large number of amoeboid cells or gametes are formed, which means these are the cells that are different in the structure and size. And these cells detaches from the parent cell and secretes the initial chamber called as proloculum. Each amoebula secretes the proloculum, forms the rhizopodia, then it grows and forms other chambers of the shell to become a megalospheric form. So what did you get from this? So the microspheric form reproduces asexually by fission in order to form the amoebulae, or we can call it as amoeboid cells. So these nucleus, the cytoplasm of these cells surrounds around the nucleus and forms a large number of amoeboid cells or amoebulae. These are agametes that are not similar in size and structure, and then after that they get detached from the parent cell and forms the initial chambers called as proloculum, and then forms the other chambers in order to form the megalospheric form. So now let us see the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is also called as gametogony, as the megalospheric form undergoes reproduces sexually in order to form the microspheric form. Here the megalospheric form is also called as gamon. So in sexual reproduction, the megalospheric form reproduces sexually by syngamy or conjugation. So the nucleus first breaks up into many small nuclei and the cytoplasm collects around each of these nuclei. The nuclei divide twice, giving rise to a large number of tiny cells. The cells develop flagella and comes out of the shell. The biflagellate cells are haploid and are known as isogametes. So the isogametes are released into the surrounding seawater through the shell pores, and the isogametes of the two different individuals fuse together in pairs to form the zygote. So this fusion of the isogametes is called as isogamy. The zygote thus formed develops into the microspheric forms. Each zygote secretes a shell around itself. New chambers are added. So in this sexual reproduction, the megalospheric form reproduces sexually by syngamy or conjugation, and the nucleus breaks down and forms the number of small nuclei, and the cytoplasm collects around each of the nuclei in order to give rise to the tiny cells, which has the flagella and comes out of the shell. So these cells have the two flagella, so they are called as biflagellate cells, and they are haploid. So since they are similar in size and structure, so they are called as isogametes. So the isogametes are released into the surrounding seawater through the shell pores, and this fusion of isogametes results in the zygote, and this process of fusion of the isogametes is called as isogamy. So the zygote then develops into the microspheric form. So this is what happens in sexual reproduction. Then the life cycle, as we have discussed earlier, that Elphidium exhibits dimorphism, which means which exists in two different forms, that is megalospheric form and the microspheric form. The megalospheric form undergoes sexual reproduction, whereas the microspheric form undergoes asexual reproduction. So this sexual cycle is altered by the asexual cycle. This is called as an alteration of generation. The life cycle of Elphidium clearly exhibits the phenomena of alteration of asexual microspheric generation with a sexual megalospheric generation. So this is the life cycle of Elphidium. And then comes to the next part, that when the Elphidium dies, the shells fall on the ocean floor like a steady rain and contribute to the formation of the bottom sediments called as ooze. And when there is a death of Elphidium, then these shells of the Elphidium falls on the ocean floor like a sediments, and these are called as ooze. And the calcareous ooze is the general term for layers of muddy calcium carbonate bearing soft rock sediment on the seafloor. Investigating calcareous ooze of modern and ancient oceans means to elucidate the role that oceanic processes play in global climate change during various geological time intervals and at different levels of precision. So this is all about the reproduction and the life cycle and all the type study that I have already discussed in the part 1. So I hope you have understood the things. So thank you, and that's it for today.